Liv. Just going to get my Battenburg. It's great to be here. I'm going to start with a bit of call and response. Oh, no, not that.
Not that.
So, when I say the words kotomeni saka dos, kotomeni saka, you say tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Is it there? Yes. Okay, it's Bulgarian. It's a Bulgarian folk song. You're going to be the bass section, guys. You're going to be the melody, the easy part, and you guys are going to be the top, high part. So. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Actually, let me hear you just say the words first. Can you say? Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Okay, with a bit more gusto. 2, 3, 4. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Good. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. 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 Support them. 2, 3, 4. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Okay, let's hear all 3 parts together. Tie, 2, 3, 4. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Alright, not bad. Okay. We start with establishing the key. Hey, hey, hey. And if you can yelp at the end, that really helps. So, with me. Hey, hey, hey. Kotomeni saka dos, kotomeni saka. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Set na loe dore dos, set le noe dore. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Vanganavratisinos, vanganavratisi. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Not bad, not bad. Can I say it one more time? Because it feels really good when you get it right. Does everyone sit up in their chairs? Go. Let's hear this section. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. 2, 3, go. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Great. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. You guys, go. Tie ludo dos, tisi ludo dore. Great. Tie ludo dore dos, tisi ludo dore. Tie ludo dos, tisi ludo dore. Okay, let's just try one last one. This is the last chance. Let's really sing out. So, D, D, D. Let's see your T's. D. Kotomeni saka dos, kotomeni saka. Okay, great. Right. Okay, I'll start the talk now. Sorry, it'll take ages. Right. So that was a Bulgarian folk song, and it was about a man called George, and he's knitting socks, sitting in his window knitting socks, and the socks are for the person that George fancies, and whoever gets the socks gets George. But he turns out to be the village idiot, but that's in later verses, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, teaching songs and getting groups of people to sing is what I like doing the best. It's when I feel in my element. And I would like you guys to have a think for a sec and just think about when you feel in your element. And if it's okay, could you just talk to the person next to you for about 30 seconds about when you feel in your element, just at the top of your head. Go. Did you get somewhere? You can continue it in the break. Just continue. Cool. So, I'd like to share with you something about my story so far as a performer and a leader, I guess, and being someone that's trying to make sense of life through the arts, and use the arts to help me live more in my element. And I'd like to invite you to keep on thinking about when you're in your element and where you place the arts in your life. So I embarrassed my dad the other day, or he embarrassed me, at a dinner party when he introduced his daughter as a jazz singer. And I did study jazz for quite a long time, but by my 4th year at Guildhall, I just, if I had another I thought I was going to, shoot someone. And I thought I'd best leave the jazz to the hardcore devotees who chained themselves to their trumpets for 8 hours a day and shredded over chord changes. So Dad was saying, this is Olivia, she's a jazz singer, and I said, no, I'm not. And Dad said, oh, okay, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a workshop leader, I work in mental health. The friend at the dinner party said, oh right, so you're a music therapist. And I said, well, not quite. I'm not a trained music therapist, that's a sort of clinical practice. I'm a sort of a creative experience leader thing. And then Dad said, oh right, so you're not a performer at all anymore? And I said, no, I am, I'm in a band, I am a performer. Actually, I'm directing a play. He said, are you? What play? And I said, well, it hasn't been written yet, but I'm sort of writing it together with my friends. And anyway, so it went on like this, and it fizzled out, and I ended up looking like I had no clue about what I did, and no idea who I was at all, actually. So it was rather embarrassing. And I mean, for me, the meaning of life really is to find out who you are. And that's a lifelong quest, so I'm not going to solve that right now. To avoid sort of future dinner party clangers, I thought I need to find a convincing, concise and sexy response to the question, what do you do? So, at the moment, my life is a little bit like a Battenburg cake, which is this, for those of you that don't know Battenburg cakes. This is me, I'm the icing bit around the edge. And Goodbye Leopold, the trio that are going to perform later that I'm in, that's the sort of the yellow bit. And the pink bit is my work in mental health, I've decided. And the yellowy jammy cross in the middle is my cross arts work. So it's the Battenburg. And all 3 bits of the Battenburg came from the same sort of creative oven. And I guess that was studying leadership at the Guildhall. And towards the end of my masters, when I was trying to work out, consolidate what I'd learnt and how best to use it, my tutor advised me to write a list of what I was good at, or thought I was good at, and what I really liked. And this was extremely useful. So a few things popped up: cycling, travel, food, composing, music. And I noticed they all fell into the same category. You tend to like what you're good at, which is lucky, really. There are a few exceptions, like surfing I quite like, but it's pretty much suicide, and various other exceptions. But generally, you like what you're good at, and I think. So I took cycling. I took a few things. I started to play with them and use them as starting points. Cycling was my first thing, and I attached camcorders to the back of my bike and my ex-boyfriend's bike, and started to film our journeys around London. And I took the most interesting of this journey and I put it on a split screen. And looking back at it, I thought, this is a really beautiful representation of human relationships. The overtaking, the waiting, the following, the catching up, the leading. And I thought it was so beautiful that I started to compose music to it. And I made this little film. I don't really know which bit, just maybe skip to like 7 minutes in or something. It's 10 minutes long, so we'll just watch 20 seconds of it. There should be sound in it as well. So this got shown miraculously at the Barbican as part of the Gordon Matta Clark, Trisha Brown exhibition last year, in the sort of tribute section of the exhibition. And this was really encouraging, and I thought to myself, wow, maybe this means I could be an artist. So I went back to my list and I chose travel, and I started to compose music out of bits of recordings that I'd made on my travels. And during this time I realised that I had no visual documentation of my life. I just had audio recordings. And I thought, that's a bit weird. Why is this? So I sort of delved into my upbringing, and I discovered that, of course, it was all my parents' fault. And we didn't have any videos, hardly any photos, about 3 photos of our family. And so I decided, but loads of cassette tape recordings. So I went back to the family and I trawled through lots of cassette tape recordings, and I discovered that I inherited this passion for recording memories through audio from my dad, and discovered that he had an exquisite tape collection recording of his life. He had tape cassettes of Namibian church choirs, of Indian gurus in the 80s giving satsang on the River Ganga, Benedictine choirs with monks singing Gregorian chants in France in monasteries. And I just thought, whoa, I need to do something with all of this. So I started to compose music in response to a short list of these recordings that I found. And I noticed that they were, unintentionally, I'd chosen just recordings that were vocal and unaccompanied. So I wrote for 3 voices, and by a complete miracle, about the same sort of time, 2 people moved in 2 doors down from me on the estate, the Leopold estate, who over a cup of tea said, oh, we'd really like to get into some more singing. And I thought, brilliant, I've just composed loads of music with 3 voices, you're in. So we started singing together. And in this composition process, I spent a lot of time doing this, waiting for tapes to rewind like this. And I thought, this is a really unfamiliar sensation, a really weird feeling. And I realised it's because in this day and age, you just press skip on your MP3 player and you're there. Or if you want to go to India, you just get in a plane and you're there in 5 hours when you're still really in London in your head. And we don't connect to journeys anymore. We don't wait for the wheels to go round to get places. And I thought, this is a thought worth considering. And I thought, what a great way of illustrating this thought. A tape reel is a really good way of illustrating this. So I made a big maypole with tape reel coming out of it instead of coloured ribbon. And we started to compose or choreograph movements, walking backwards and singing in reverse around the maypole. And this became a piece that we did at the Toynbee Studios nearly a year ago, and it was our first kind of dabble in I guess, performance art, because it wasn't really a gig, it was somewhere in the middle. And so that was that. That's the first bit of Battenburg, and the last 2 are going to be really quick, I promise. So the mental health work, I work for lots of different groups, the most relaxed one being a choir on with Crisis, and the most high pressure one being at Bethlehem Royal Hospital, which is an inpatients psychiatric hospital. I can't plan the workshops at all, because I don't know how many people are going to show up, I don't know what state they're going to be in, and I don't know what ability they'll be at. So it requires absolute spontaneity, which can be quite daunting. But the process of working with them is extremely enriching, because I'll come with something on my sleeve. For example, the Bulgarian song, I might bring that. And it will always be different depending on the group. So it's a really, really creative thing to bring an idea into these workshops and see how it's going to blossom. And before, I thought of this mental health work as sort of separate from my artistic life, which is totally wrong, because in fact now I take ideas from Goodbye Leopold and put it into my mental health groups, and they just take the idea and turn it completely on its backside and go, why don't you do this? Because I think in the case of people who can be poorly in this way, have very uninhibited minds, and amazing things have come from merging the different sections. And indeed, being included in the arts is liberating, no matter what your background and things. And my last gig with Goodbye Leopold, I had 2 people who came from my mental health groups, and they said they hadn't been to a gig in years due to their illness. And so it's enriching all round. It's really enriching for me, and for them to be included in the arts and to be part of my projects, to be quite a key part, and to come and see what's going on with that is a great thing. Last bit of Battenburg is the Unhidden Collective, which is the theatre company that I've just started, which all started when I was having dinner with my friend Franny, who's Alaskan and a very incredible dancer. And she'd just come back from Sitka, which is a tiny little village on the last bit of land before Japan. And she was showing me some home camera footage of her time at home. And her beautifully spoken, bearded, burly fisherman dad was telling stories of 1700-foot waves that he was in, and this magical life being at one with nature. And I was really mesmerised by this fisherman. And at the time I was reading about fish and the fishing industry, and about how very in danger it is. And in fact, in 40 years, there won't be any more fish left if we keep going on like this. This is a fact. And I thought, well, no fish, he's going to have nothing to tell stories about. This is terrible. And I really felt like I cared about this character, and I needed to make a piece of theatre about it. So that would kind of talk about man's ongoing struggle with nature and nature's ongoing struggle with man. So I thought, Goodbye Leopold, we could do with dabbling in some more art forms. Franny's a dancer, she had the dance partner. So we became 3 singers, 2 dancer, 2 visual artists, 1 multimedia geek, who were always extremely useful, 1 sound designer, and 1 actor thrown in for good measure. And we became the Unhidden Collective, and we're going to do The Fish Tales of Alaska, which is the name of this is the piece of theatre I was banging on to my dad about that hasn't been made yet. But it's going to be performed at the Yard Theatre in November. We've got a 3-week run. And we've just finished a week at the Barbican devising it under mine and Franny's direction. I found this really near the end. I found this week really hard directing, managing egos, including my own, trying to be patient, trying not to be bossy, trying to give everyone a voice, trying to just directing I found it very challenging. I felt very far from my element, and I had a week's holiday after, and whilst strolling through a mountain of tapas and floating in a sea of wine, I was reflecting, and I thought to myself, what's the common ingredient between the 3 bits of Battenburg, and what do I do? And I guess it's leadership, but let's just define leadership. It's collaborating, listening, facilitating, encouraging, guiding, being aware. It's all sorts of things. And the most challenging way in which I'm exercising my leadership at the moment is in the Fish Tales of Alaska, in this directing thing. And the other 2 bits of Battenburg are pootling away, kind of generating me with the confidence I need to be able to do this bit. Not to say the other bits haven't had their challenges, because they have. And when I was doing that song with you earlier, that was when I felt, that was my most enjoyable way of exercising my leadership. That was when I felt in my element. And I'm lucky to be able to be in my element quite often. But it didn't used to be this way. It used to be magical moments when I felt like I'd just discovered something I thought I was good at, or I really enjoyed. And it's these moments that I think are the most important and exciting moments to talk about at dinner parties. Not what do you do, but when do you feel in your element? It might not be your job, it might be when you're climbing a K2, cooking dinner with friends, consoling a friend, it could be anything. But you know when you're in it, because you feel whole and everything makes sense. So my appeal to you is to persist in asking yourself, when do you feel in your element? Thank you for listening.